The article I'd like to share is entitled Models for Special Needs Students. And this is teachers describe 5 proven effective co-teaching strategies for collaborative partnerships with special education instructors and professionals. So we're going to look through this article briefly. And what we need to understand first off is a definition of co-teaching. The article defines that as a specific form of collaboration in which a classroom teacher and a special education teacher or other support professional share responsibilities for planning, delivering, and evaluating instruction for a mixed group of students. So with that definition in mind, we know that we can see this article was written in 2010, and since then I know the co-teaching model has become very widely used in a lot of schools, and I see that it's used in my school district that I teach with. So the article then goes into breaking down 5 different the types of co-teaching, and what the article's writers did was they asked teachers to share their experiences and their stories as far as what that looks like in a math classroom. So as you can see, our first type of co-teaching is team teaching that we're going to look at, and this was an interesting story about how 2 teachers work together. Typically the content teacher would be teaching the board, would be teaching the lesson, and the co-teaching special education teacher would be behind them modeling on the board. And what I really liked and enjoyed about this was seeing that the special education teacher would be there to ask questions for the to the content teacher, and so that they knew that the students that they were representing in the classroom could understand. So that was their job to kind of say, well, wait, can you explain that more? Can you restate that? So this going back and forth dialogue was their version of the read, think aloud for their classroom. So the way they were looking at team teaching. If we move along to our second co-teaching model, alternative teaching. The story here they share is co-teaching allows for flexibility and emphasizes Angie here, and I love the tag team approach. The special educator elaborates, and then they quote them as it's what they used there is a tag team approach, as they just said. So they would go back and forth and share full all group instruction time. Looking at the next type of co-teaching was the one teach, one assist. In this model, you will see offers, and it can be changed here. As you can see, both teachers the opportunity in the general education classroom to work with all students on an individual basis. So teachers would take turns teaching the full group, while one teacher would work one-on-one with any student that would need assistance. So in that those duties could be switched back and forth in that co-teaching model. The next co-teaching model discussed would be stations. That's pretty self-explanatory. And what can happen here is either teacher could conduct individual progress checks once or twice a week with targeted students, or the co-teacher could design class-wide progress monitoring system. Co-teaching model offers this flexibility. So within the stations, you can see that teachers could then have the students rotate through, and they could be doing progress monitoring checks and testing was the strength of the station. In a parallel structure, I would like, there's a story here that the content teacher was very concerned that special education teachers not always had the strongest math skills when they came to co-teaching, and that she found herself often having to teach the teacher beforehand the lesson. And so that I imagine could be a common struggle. As a special education teacher myself, I know that it's often difficult to switch back and forth between one subject to another. Kind of have to be a student of everything, and sometimes what's new or what's being most used can sometimes be missed by a special education teacher. But for the parallel structure, um, when teachers are teaching full groups at the same time, I could see how that could be an issue. And so, if the elements for success this article shares for co-teaching, you have to. Planning is just huge. There has to be so much planning to go in, with the teachers be able to work together. The communication has to be key and stressed, and monitoring of the students needs to be very closely done. And so those types of things those three elements are just vital for co-teaching to work. And so, in conclusion, the article states that more research may be needed to look into co-teaching. It states the co-teaching model, collaboration model with this array of structures offers a viable approach for meeting the needs of individual students in the general mathematics classroom by combining the energies and talents of two teachers. So the article is very much a support of using co-teaching, and shared these stories that these teachers using these 5 co-teaching models. The reason I like this article as a special education teacher, I thought all of these, I very much am a supporter of co-teaching, and though in my specific position, I teach in a classroom myself, a self-contained classroom, and so I don't get to experience co-teaching, but all the other resource teachers in my building are in co-taught classes, and so there could be a time when I eventually would be doing that. And so I think the structure is a great idea for students that may need a little extra help. To have 2 teachers in a room, I just don't see how that could be a bad thing. And so very much enjoyed this article and reading through these 5 types of co-teaching structures.